In the heart of the sprawling metropolis, a war was brewing. The city's pulse echoed with the rhythm of the night, unaware of the monsters lurking in the shadows. Crescent City was on the verge of an eruption, a storm driven by bloodlust, power, and the echoes of betrayal. Razor, the leader of the once feared Crescent Crew, found himself trapped in an unseen conflict. He had fought gangs, faced down police, but this was different. This was a fight against the shadows themselves. His first clue came in the form of an unexplained disappearance. Blade, his most trusted lieutenant, vanished without a trace. In the world of gangs, missing members were nothing new, but Blade was different. He was family. The shadows whispered their secrets, stories of monstrous figures with glowing red eyes. Every lead pointed to a name that had once ruled the city, the OG. He was supposed to be dead, a ghost of the past. But his whispers seemed to echo from every corner, from every shadow. As Razor investigated, the truth slowly unfolded. The city was not just battling human threats. Supernatural entities lurked in the shadows, shapeshifters who had infiltrated the ranks of the Crescent Crew. The game had changed, and Razor found himself in a new world of darkness. With the crew's survival hanging by a thread, Razor was forced to turn to unlikely allies. From his underworld contacts, he secured ancient weapons said to have the power to bring down these unearthly foes. His gang of toughened street soldiers trained and adapted, evolving into a force ready to face the supernatural threats head-on. As Razor fought to keep his crew and the city safe, an unexpected revelation hit him. The shapeshifters were not independent agents. They were the pawns of a bigger entity. The red-eyed demon, who was thought to be nothing more than an urban legend, was real, and it was controlling the shapeshifters. The battle lines were drawn. Razor and his crew had to face the demon and his army. In the city's forgotten corners, brutal battles ensued. Every encounter was a dance with death, where hesitation meant the end. The streets ran red, but the Crescent Crew held their ground. In the midst of this bloody war, Razor received a vision in his dreams. It was Chopper, his fallen comrade, reaching out from the afterlife. Chopper revealed the unsettling truth. The OG was not dead. He had struck a deal with the demon and was using the shapeshifters to regain control over the city. With this revelation, the stakes escalated. This was not just a fight for survival, but a fight against an old friend turned enemy. A final showdown was inevitable. Underneath the city's pulsating heart, in the labyrinth of the subway system, Razor faced off against the supposed demon. An intense battle ensued, the underground echoing with the sounds of fury and steel. Just when victory was within reach, the demon's form shifted, revealing it to be nothing more than another shapeshifter. Razor's victory was short-lived as the chilling voice of the OG echoed around him. "This is my town, and I'm taking it back." The real enemy was still out there, plotting the city's downfall. Razor's mission was far from over. With his crew behind him and his resolve unbroken, he was ready to face whatever lurked in the city's shadows. The city lay on the precipice of a new dawn or eternal darkness. The final battle was yet to come. Crescent City's fate hung in the balance, its destiny tied to the war that was to come. The streets of shadows were about to bear witness to the ultimate confrontation. Razor's heart pounded as the OG's chilling voice echoed in his ears. He was standing in the heart of the city he had sworn to protect, a city now on the brink of being consumed by the shadows. The crew was battle-weary, but their spirit unbroken. This was their city, their home, and they would not give it up without a fight. Despite the betrayal and the loss, Razor found a new resolve within him. The OG had been a mentor to him once, a man he had looked up to. Now the man was nothing more than a puppet master, playing a dangerous game with the city's fate. Weeks turned into months as Crescent City found itself caught in a nerve-wracking game of chess. Every day was a fight for survival, every night a desperate battle against the shapeshifters. But the Crescent Crew was no longer just a gang. They had become protectors, warriors battling against an unseen enemy. While the crew fought on the front lines, Razor found himself diving into the world of the occult, seeking a way to end the OG's reign. Ancient texts, forgotten rituals, cryptic prophecies. Razor delved deep into them, hoping to find a clue, a weakness that could give them an edge. Razor's relentless pursuit of knowledge led him to an ancient prophecy about a shining blade, capable of cutting through the shadows. The texts spoke of a holy relic lost in time, a weapon that could bring an end to the OG's reign. With a glimmer of hope in his eyes, Razor rallied his crew for a daring mission. The hunt for the shining blade would lead them into the city's darkest corners, into realms unknown. With the prophecy as their guide, the Crescent Crew ventured into the unknown, their hearts filled with determination and courage. But the journey was not easy. Every step forward was met with trials and tribulations. Traps laid by shapeshifters, cryptic riddles, deadly chases. Every day was a test of their will and mettle. But the Crescent Crew pushed on, their resolve unbroken. The quest for the shining blade brought them face to face with their deepest fears. But in the face of despair, they found strength in their unity. As they delved deeper into the city's underbelly, they discovered secrets and alliances that sent ripples through their understanding of their city and their fight. After weeks of relentless pursuit, their journey led them to the heart of the city, underneath the old Crescent Tower. In the eerie silence, amidst ancient ruins, they found the shining blade. It was more than a weapon. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of their fight against the shadows. As Razor held the blade, he felt a surge of power coursing through him. The blade pulsed with a brilliant light, its glow piercing the encompassing darkness. With the blade in his hand, Razor knew that their fight was far from over. The final confrontation was yet to come. Back on the streets, the battle raged on. The crew fought with renewed vigor, their hearts filled with hope. The sight of the shining blade gave them the courage to push back against the shadows, to stand their ground. The city held its breath as the night grew darker. The final showdown was near. The OG was still out there, plotting, waiting, but Razor and his crew were ready. The endgame was approaching, and Crescent City's fate hung in the balance. The streets of shadows were on the edge of a confrontation that would decide their destiny. And so, the stage was set. The players were ready. The game of shadows was about to reach its climax. In the darkness of the night, under the neon glow of Crescent City, the final confrontation was set. The eerie silence was broken by the low growl of engines, the familiar hum of the city replaced by a looming sense of dread. Razor, armed with the shining blade, led his crew into the battlefield. The first clash was a horrifying spectacle. Shapeshifters, under the command of the OG, surged forward. The city streets echoed with snarls, roars, and the clang of metal. But the Crescent Crew held their ground, their fear transformed into resolve. Each fought like a seasoned warrior, their strikes precise and deadly. Razor, at the forefront, was a force to be reckoned with. The shining blade in his hand cut through the enemies, its light slicing through the darkness. With each swing, a shapeshifter fell, their monstrous forms disintegrating into shadows. While his crew held back the onslaught of shapeshifters, Razor moved through the chaos, his eyes set on one goal, finding the OG. As the night grew deeper, the shadows twisted and churned, forming a monstrous figure. A familiar voice echoed around him. "Welcome to the endgame, Razor." The OG emerged from the shadows, his eyes glowing with an unholy light. A surge of power emanated from him, his presence turning the very air cold. This was no longer the mentor Razor had once known. This was a puppeteer of the shadows, a tyrant seeking control. Their duel was a dance of darkness and light. The OG, wielding the power of the shadows, was formidable, but Razor, empowered by the shining blade, stood his ground. With every clash, with every parry, Razor fought back, his determination unyielding. In a decisive moment, Razor found an opening. He struck, his blade piercing through the shadows. The OG staggered back, a roar echoing around them. Yet the man merely laughed. "You think this is the end, Razor? You're mistaken. This is just the beginning." Suddenly, a blinding light erupted, engulfing everything. Razor shielded his eyes, the shining blade clutched tightly in his hand. As the light dimmed, he found the battlefield empty. The OG, the shapeshifters, they were gone, leaving only the echo of his words. Razor stood alone amidst the deserted city streets, the silence ringing in his ears. His crew, battered but undefeated, slowly regrouped around him. Their eyes bore the same question. Was it over? But Razor knew it wasn't. This was just the calm before a greater storm. As dawn broke over Crescent City, a new day began. The city was still standing, the shadows had receded, but the fight was far from over. The OG was still out there, his threat echoing in Razor's mind. The real enemy was yet to show his true face. And so, as the sun rose, Razor made a vow. He would protect his city no matter what. He would stand against the shadows, against the OG, against whatever threat lurked in the darkness. This was his city, his home, and he would defend it till his last breath. For now, the city had a respite, a moment to heal. But Crescent City's destiny was far from decided. The streets of shadows were still waiting for the ultimate showdown. The endgame was yet to come, and Razor was ready to face it head-on. The story of Streets of Shadows' Shadowed Illusions was far from over. Hey everyone, welcome to our channel. We're so excited to have you here and share our content with you. If you're new here, make sure to click that subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.